Ross.
And I'm AJ Finney.
And this is
Hippie?
Not Hippie. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 26 of Hippie, Not Hippie.
Yeah!
We've got a very special guest in studio today. We are joined by local legend and comedian John Hippie Man Novosad.
Gonna be a pretty easy guest today, I think.
Yeah, but I think what's fun is to figure out how deep the hippie runs into John Hippie Man Novosad.
Yeah, maybe we
And,
can catch him.
yeah, maybe he'll take us by surprise, and maybe by the end we'll be like, you know what?
He's kind of a hard rock guy.
Yeah.
John is less hippie. He's more metal now.
I may not be a hippie.
What do you have going on, Zach?
I will be headlining Comedy Works June 8th, and then I'm also very excited. Memorial Day weekend, we will be doing 4 live shows at the Vail Comedy Festival.
Vail Comedy Festival.
So check those out. They're going to be great. How about you, AJ?
Well, this weekend, May 19th and 20th, I'll be at the Denver Comedy Lounge. And on top of our live podcast, I'll also be performing at the Vail Comedy Festival May 26th through the 28th.
So, yeah, come see the Hippie Not Hippie boys up there. And then John is going to be headlining Comedy Works.
South or downtown?
South.
South Club.
On
May 24th.
That's a Wednesday.
Yep. So that's exciting. And then I'm doing the Boulder Comedy Festival, which is June 21st through the 25th.
Yeah, I've doubled down on that. I've got I think we might be doing a show together.
Yeah.
And then also the South Dakota, the Black Hills Comedy Festival.
Yeah, no, that's going on the same weekend, so get tickets for that. And also, John has a great special out on YouTube called Jokes I Can Only Tell Here. Check that special out on YouTube. It is about to hit 1 million views. So
Yeah. Almost at 1 million views. That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
So
All those views, how many listens you think?
Well, you look at not many. They're just like, let's put this on in the background.
I just like watching this guy wiggle around on stage.
Exactly.
well, yeah, and no, it's a great album, and you can purchase that too on Amazon, iTunes. I'm guessing all the places.
Yeah.
So pick up a copy of that. But
Also, before we get started, I just want to give another shout out to Wally Wallace at the Chief. They dropped our episode this morning, giving us a big thank you. Yeah, it was wonderful to be able to do the live podcast out there. And again, a shout out to the Stony Girls, still supporting the podcast extremely well.
yeah, and shout out to everyone who chimed in on the sploof versus zoop versus doob tube.
This would be a good one for John.
Yeah.
John, did you ever hide? Well, first of all, I should ask, do you smoke marijuana?
Yes, I do smoke marijuana.
Okay. Did you ever have to hide it?
Oh, yeah.
What was your way of hiding the smoke?
I would hide it. I had like a suit jacket that I would wear if I ever went to church, which I was raised Catholic and I was not into Catholicism, but every once in a while, like on the holidays and stuff, I would go, when I still lived at home. And so I hid my weed in that pocket on the inside of the coat.
Oh, so it was you looked all business.
Yeah, it was business in the front, but weed in that pocket.
Yeah.
How would you hide the smell?
Well, I'd just double bag and,
If you were smoking, though.
Yeah.
if I was smoking.
Did you ever use like the tube that you blew through?
Yeah, there was that. I never put in a fabric sheet, but I would try to blow it out the window.
Okay.
Just through the tube?
Yeah.
It just down periscope.
It would give you that extra,
Length, yeah.
But I was real careful too. I mean, I would go, I'd tell my mom I was going to go for a walk and then walk outside and smoke and walk long enough to where.
Yeah.
Down by the river.
Down by the river.
I just love the fact that you had like an HVAC tube running out of your bedroom window.
So that was actually so the Zoop worked all right, but what I found and what my buddy turned me on to is he had like a hole where they had drilled through by his window for the cable to come in.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And he ran a piece of like fish pump tubing
Right.
out of that hole. And then we would smoke one hitter bong rips. So we would just light up. You'd cache the whole bowl.
Yeah.
That you had to cache the whole bowl so there's no smoke coming off the bowl. Suck it all in.
Yeah.
Suck it through down into the water so there's no smoke that came off. And then you would blow it out that fish tube. And I did the same thing. I had an elaborate system.
Yeah.
But then, like, one time, like, we were smoking and his mom just, like, came, like, barging in, like, I was out working in the flower beds and you just see smoke coming out of the wall of my house. And
She's just getting high as hell. She's like, I thought there was a fire.
did you have a name for these tubes, though? No?
No, I didn't have a name for him. What is?
Just the extender?
I was waiting for you to be like, I just called it
Yeah,
Jim.
Doug.
Doug, my escape buddy.
So, yeah, I think the winner, though, for the term, and we got these from all over the place, but
What was the most common? I remember doob tube a lot, and I grew up in and around Kansas City. Have you ever heard that term before,
well,
John?
Yeah, I've heard doob tube before.
well, doob tube, when I think of that, it's like what I keep my joints in.
That's what I thought.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that
that is what we used.
they don't stink, but I mean, we had so many names come in, but
Some of them were wild.
yeah, somebody was like, we call them popes. I've
never heard of
bounce tube,
Bounced? Oh, because of the bounce
fabric
sheet, the fabric
softener, I'm
softener, the
guessing.
dryer sheets.
We had flavor roll,
Flavor row?
flavor roll.
Flavor roll.
Yeah.
Let me see that flavor roll.
Yeah, flavor roll was out of SoCal in the late '90s. We had something called a dut dut.
A dut dut?
It's what it sounds like when you tap the person next to take it from you. That's from Virginia. Smoke Buddy is a very common one, and that's what
That
the
sounds
people
like
that made it. People made like them and sell them as a product. They call them Smoke Buddy, which I think they.
Yeah, that
still-
sounds like a brand.
Jay Dizzle for Rizzle said incognito.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that was out of Northwest Pennsylvania, and here's one of my favorites. We call it a Bob Dole.
Wow.
Which Bob Dole, I was like, you must be from Kansas, and they were like, yep, Wichita.
Wichita.
Yeah, a Smoke You Later, a Boof, which
I don't. A boof doesn't work. Boof doesn't work.
Boof is usually booty stuff.
Yeah, that's boofing.
Yeah, somebody immediately responded, that's something else.
Yeah. If
Hey, do you want a boof? Like someone was trying to get you to do something, and they're like, "Oh no, we just call this a boof. Let's go back to my place."
We had some variants on sploof. Someone's like a spleef. SPLEEF, and I was like, oh, so somebody learned what a sploof was from somebody else, forgot what it was called, went home and called it a spleef.
Yeah, it was like,
Someone also called it a spliff, and I was like, that's a joint with tobacco. But,
Right.
Whatever. Then we had a few boofs. Bong Buster.
I mean, I guess the bong buster makes sense, but
I will
John,
say
what do you
this,
think?
The boof would definitely cover up the smell.
But how do you cover up the smell of the boof?
Well, you just say, I'm having a problem up here.
Yeah, we had someone from Lower Alabama tell me a squeeb.
A squeeb?
Yeah, SQEEB. Yeah, you don't even need a U after the Q in a squeeb.
Wow. We used to have a squib, which was a rubber frisbee we'd play.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Someone said a bedroom buddy, and I'm like, that sounds like a
That-
sex toy.
Yeah, that sounds like something you get to boof.
The friendly neighbor.
Exactly. The friendly neighbor.
What an adorable one.
Yeah, and then Fuzzy Bunny is another one.
That also sounds like a late night bedroom toy.
The Dojo.
I kind of like that one.
That's
Seems
that's
aggressive.
from the Duluth area. And then, gosh, what else? A foofer.
That sounds inappropriate.
yeah.
Yeah, we have just an oob. We have a zoob tube.
Zoob tube makes that sounds good. It's very common.
A new tip that I hadn't heard is somebody's like, if you use those 3M P100 mask filters, they eliminate all the smell. So
Whoa.
kids, I think, upped the game during the pandemic where they're like, hey, what if I take these masks and put those over the tube and fabric softener?
Let's put a pin in that, and maybe we can get some of these masks and test this theory.
Yeah, and Yakima, it's a silencer. Crache puff in French, which we had some people chime in from Quebec up in Canada. Crache puff, crache poof.
I'm not sure if that's a proper pronunciation. Crache poof?
Yeah, and pouffe.
Merci beaucoup, pouffe.
And then, we had another floofer.
Floofer sounds like a guy who works in porn somehow. Right?
Right.
And then somebody just goes, we call it an asshole. So,
wow.
Thanks for everybody who chimed in on that. We also realized that a schnooli is not a Swedish word. It is German, actually, in origin.
Schnooli, huh? That was what
Emma called them.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Chiming in. A lot of wild stuff this week. We had some interesting interactions with people.
Yeah, dude. So there's a guy that I think is in some sort of Grateful Dead gang or mafia.
Yeah, I don't want to. I mean, he may hear this. I don't want to get too far into it.
He may kill us if we die. It might be this guy.
Yeah, but I will say, like, it was the first message he sent was kind of cryptic, and I was like, oh no. And so I just kind of led into it to find out what it was.
He has, instead of a teardrop on his face, he has a Grateful Dead thunderbolt.
Like a 13-point bolt on his face.
Wow.
And he didn't tell me the whole story. I wanted to know what happened and how he got it. But
who he killed.
Right. Yeah. There was a big thing that went viral, I guess, because someone posted the picture and said he received it from killing a kid on Fish Lot. And I was like, whoa, dude. And he's like, it was just a joke. But he goes, it caused a lot of problems in my life. And I'm like, more than just the face tattoo?
Yeah.
Like, but he did send me a picture of like where he was living when he was an OG Dead guy. And that was wild. Like he had a hut. I mean, I think he was up in probably Arcadia or something like that.
Yeah, I'll probably see him at the Savage Henry Comedy Festival here this fall. So I think I've probably seen that guy.
Yeah, Godspeed, my friend.
Yeah, that is an area.
Yeah.
Like when I'm just walking around there, I've had people like just pull up next to me and be like, I know what the fuck you did. Fuck you, you son of a bitch.
Where is this?
And I'm like, what
in
the
California?
Fuck? Yeah.
Wow.
Like that's up near Humboldt where people are like still growing pot somewhat illegally. And like you accidentally step on their property and it's bad news.
Yeah. So I don't know. I actually, after that, I Googled, is there an organized crime element to the Grateful Dead?
Yeah.
And I came across a big FBI file on it. So I'm going to report back on this, but I'm doing a little research. But seems like there might be a not so happy hippie side.
No, there was. I kind of brought that up when I was talking back and forth because he was kind of going this and that. And I think he was not exactly pleased with how lighthearted I was making the Dead culture sound. And I know there's a dark side. I mean, I had a friend, I'd seen a lot of stuff online. I saw a guy who ripped a bunch of people off, tied up to a pole, then had a note on him that said, dose me. And that's it. Like nobody took that guy off.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
They tied him to a pole and then he had a note that said, dose me. Was he conscious?
He was out of his mind. Like, I don't know, but it was just one of those things where it's like, you don't mess with it. It's basically like imagine a mafia guy putting someone somewhere and you're like, I should help that guy. And then you're like, I probably shouldn't help that guy. I should probably just keep myself together. Wow. And I had a friend also, like some people, there was heavy drugs being used at certain points. I had a friend who passed out, lost his shoes, and woke up the next day, and he passed out of the wrong camp, I believe, and someone had tattooed on the bottom of his feet, fuck shoes.
Wow.
That happened to me, man.
Yeah? What's the story there, John?
Well, I was that guy. I passed out. They, dosed me real heavy. And then I passed out, woke up with, a tattoo that said, fuck shoes. I'm just making shit up. That's not true. But
We probably dive in here, John. Just let's go back and what is your earliest memory of hippies or hippie culture?
Wow. Well, excuse me. I'm pretty damn old. I'll say that. I'm in my 60s. So my earliest memory, I mean, like, I don't know if you would consider the Beatles hippies.
I mean, I think at first when that first album, the like I Want to Hold Your Hand, all of that shit.
It was, if I remember, Revolver, Rubber Soul was when it all started to turn, and then Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper, they were already.
Right. And I mean, I remember like when they came in to Red Rocks in 1964.
Wow. Did you see that show?
No, because I was 9 years old.
Okay.
But I remember that. But I would say that my earliest memory of hippies was Vietnam, the war and the protests.
You were at Vietnam?
No.
Oh, because you were 9.
Well, the war ended in like 1973, I think, something like that. And so I was like 17 years old. When I was 15, I was really sweating it. Like, am I going to fucking get drafted and stuff?
Yeah.
But then by the time I was 17, the war was winding down. And I knew, like I was in the last lottery, but they used to do a draft lottery,
How often were people getting pulled?
Well, I mean, fuck. I'll bet you from like, I don't know when they started the lottery, but say from like 1965 to 1970, they were fucking taking a lot of people, man.
Really? You had people that you knew that got pulled out?
My cousin went and he came back. I knew a few people, that were like friends with my sister and brother who were a little bit older than me.
And can I ask, without, if this is too much, you don't have to answer, but you said your cousin got pulled?
Uh-huh.
When he came back, how was he?
He was okay. It definitely, changed him, but he wasn't like, at least around family and stuff, I didn't feel like, heavy duty PTSD or something.
Yeah. Where in Canada were you planning on going if you got selected?
It was so funny because I was really thinking about that. I would have tried to get a college deferment first.
Yeah.
And then if I couldn't do that, I probably would have gone to, I don't know, man, Calgary.
And that's how it worked, though, is like if you got into college and you were going to school, it lessened your chances in the lottery, or?
Yeah, I think it gave you like, as long as you stayed in school, and I could be wrong on this, but I think as long as you stayed in college, you had a deferment where they couldn't draft you.
Right.
I wonder there's a lot of people that were like, I'm going to be a lawyer or a doctor. They're like the 4 years are about up and Vietnam's still going on. They're like, you know what? I'm going to get my master's or my doctorate. I wonder if there was a increase in higher education in that
I
time.
bet there was. There probably was. But that was probably my earliest memory. And then
and where were you?
Was it the protests or?
The protests, yeah. Because and I grew up in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
And so the students actually closed like the intersection of Baseline and Broadway protesting. And when I was in high school, like at Boulder High, when I was like maybe 16, like a junior in high school, the protesters marched through high school.
You went to Boulder High?
Yeah. That's how a lot of people get there.
That's how a lot of people end up there.
That's a joke right out of my act.
Yeah, no, I was like, I'm going to set it up and see if he knocks it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I remember that. And then music wise, I mean, I was a fan of the British invasion for sure. But then like I remember, Jefferson Airplane and the Dead. I was never a big Dead fan, but I saw him twice. I saw the Grateful Dead twice.
Wow. Where at? In
Folsom Field.
Okay. So you saw him, the original with Jerry.
Yeah. And I saw Warren Zevon open for them. I can't remember what year that was, but that was fucking great too.
Yeah, Warren Zevon.
Oh,
was great.
wow. Nice.
Is he doing the werewolf?
I don't know. Probably.
Man, he has so many great songs. That was his only hit.
Yeah.
Right.
Werewolves in London.
Yeah.
The album,
his hair was perfect.
So, were you a hippie in high school? Were you part of the protests? Were you involved?
I mean, I've got the long hair. Excuse me. I've got the long hair, and I always did. So I guess, I don't know, it's hard to define hippie, you know?
Right, right.
But yeah, I was definitely against the war.
And what year were you going into high school?
I went into high school like 1970 and I graduated in 80. No, I graduated.
I stayed a while.
I graduated in 73.
Okay, so you were in Boulder, so you graduated the year before Naropa showed up.
Oh, yeah.
I think, right?
I think so, yeah. I don't remember when they showed up, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, they rode in on a bus.
Yeah. Said, here's these Naropa guys.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then it's funny because one of the campuses just closed. It was like right across the street from where I live.
From the Naropa?
yeah.
Yeah, are they going under?
I don't know. I should look into it as a Naropa alumni.
I don't think they're going under, but I think that they just probably scaled back after the pandemic, you know?
Yeah, it was tough. Well, they did a lot of online stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, you know what? We don't even have to have a classroom to scam people out of money. You know what? We can just do it over the internet.
This is reducing overhead by a lot.
Yeah, we can sell the real estate and put it into more ads.
Yeah.
No.
So did you have friends that were obviously considered hippies? It's interesting at the time that you grew up because it was also kind of popular culture, right? Bell bottoms and tie-dye and things like that.
All of that. And when I was in high school, there was like, I mean, I guess you could say there were 3 cliques or 3 factions. There was, you know, for lack of a better term, the hippies, the jocks, and then cowboys, you know. But I was never
because it's still kind of Midwestern out here.
Well, yeah. And I mean,
There's still ranches around Boulder.
Yeah. And I mean, in 73, it wasn't developed like it was now.
Yeah.
You know? Then there was another high school in Boulder called Fairview, and we called them the Fairview Farmers because they were considered
like rural
out in the country. Yeah.
So you rolled with the hippies though?
Yeah, I rolled with the hippies. Wow, I got to turn my phone off. How unprofessional.
Oh no.
But I did. I rolled with the hippies. And
so technically the definition of a hippie is being a part of a counter culture.
okay.
And it sounds like you were a part of a counterculture in high school. Were you smoking pot in high school?
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, but I waited.
You didn't inhale?
Yeah. Fucking Bill Clinton showed me how to smoke, and I go, this sucks, man. No, I waited until
you could go to Canada to get a poof.
yeah. I was like, I'm not going to boof this, you guys. No, I smoked. The first time I ever smoked was between my junior and senior year. And before that, all my friends were smoking.
Yeah.
And there was peer pressure and shit, but it never worked with me. You know, I was like, I'll do it when I feel like I'm ready. So then we went on a camping trip, and that was the first time I smoked. I was like 17. And
did you get it?
Did you get stoned the first time you smoked?
yeah, I got really high, and we were going west on I-70, and there's some sort, and we weren't even that far out of fucking Denver, and there's a sign that says Salt Lake City. I think it was like a turnoff or something. Said how far, and I'm like, are we coming up on Salt Lake City? We weren't going to fucking Salt Lake City, man. That's how I knew I was high. We started laughing, but yeah, I got high for sure.
I don't think
Did you smoke a joint or?
Joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried it at I think 11, and I don't remember getting much. I remember having fun, but it was also the risk. I don't think
Right.
and then in freshman year, stuff like that, I kept getting pressured by some friends that were doing it. I don't think I actually smoked pot until mine was sophomore year. Around that time, I started trying to smoke pot, and then I took acid.
Wow.
When did you take acid for the first time, John?
See, and that's interesting because, you know,
It's hard to remember.
hippie, not hippie, no. But I just remember.
You never took it?
I did. I took it like 4 or 5 times. But this guy came up to me after a show one night and said, how many times did you do acid? And I said, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. And he's like, you're not really a hippie.
What?
I swear, man.
I mean, I do consider that a very low amount of time
yeah.
taking acid.
That is funny, like 4 or 5 times. And he goes, if he was just like, you're not a real hippie, you should have touched him and be like, I don't think you're real.
Yeah,
And he would go, I stand corrected.
But yeah, I've never really liked tripping that much. I I did it like it was in the 70s for sure. I mean, maybe 1980, but I'd say that I did acid like 4 or 5 times from the time I was maybe 19 to 23 or something like that.
Was it paper?
Yeah.
It was water paper.
Yeah.
Do you remember the art?
No, I don't remember the art.
Okay.
I just remember the last time I did it, I was with a really good friend in Lyons. We were visiting some friends in Lyons, Colorado at their house, and we all took acid.
Oh, I was like,
thought
in the Lions?
Yeah,
Man,
like-
he's really tripping hard.
Yeah, we're inside a lion.
We're at the zoo.
This is the last time I'm doing this shit, I'll tell you.
Oh, is that the Tiger King?
You distract it while I go inside.
Open your jaw, big kitty.
Yeah, that would be crazy, but
You'd be John the Lion Man.
yeah. But anyway, we tripped for like 6 hours or whatever, and then we were getting ready to go back to Boulder, and my buddy was driving, and I mean, I thought I said it innocently, but he took it the wrong way. I was like, "Are you good to drive?" And
Oh, and he got offended?
He got fucking mad. He got really mad, and so then I'm still tripping some, and
That's-
we're driving back from Lyons.
You're like, I'm not.
I knew I wasn't. Yeah. So then didn't say a fucking word in the car.
Oh, dude, that
the
tension.
whole way, all the way back, because I pissed off my friend.
Tripping is such a weird thing because set and setting I find to be so important. Like it only takes one thing to make it go weird.
Yeah.
And then if you have a good, it takes something else to pull you out of it, but you can get stuck in the muck for a while. Like, I remember tripping with my buddy Derek, and he was driving around, and it started coming on, and I always get pretty quiet because there's always an internal point where I always call it the internal scientist. It's going, okay, what's going on? How long is this going to be? How far are we going in? And I just looked up at the clouds, and it was beautiful, but I saw skeletons ripping what looked like human flesh. And I was like, oh no. I was like, this is going to be rough. And then I just started laughing, and it was like one of the best trips ever.
That's cool.
Yeah, you gotta fucking calm yourself down sometimes.
Meanwhile, my buddy David, he remember looking at the clouds. He's like, dude, it's like a bunch of dicks. And it's all dicks, and they're like, dicks, they're coming down on me. I was like, and if it starts raining, man, it's like dick juice. Like, I can't have it. And meanwhile, a friend of his just kept going, you're gay, man. You get way too many dicks in the sky.
I did acid one time at this friend's house, and I used to drive a 1967 Barracuda, man.
Like a fish?
Yeah. I drove it into a lion.
Barracuda.
But I did this acid at my friend's house, and right after I took it, man, you know how you feel like when you're catching a cold? I was like,
Yeah.
fuck, and I mean, it was literally like 15 minutes after I ate this acid, so then I was just like, I got to ride this out. And so, I mean, the trip was okay and stuff, and when I finally left, I was still high, but I was good enough to drive. And I'm driving home, and my roommates and I had a house at the top of this hill, 19th Street Hill, and you had to make a left. And I'm driving home, and this fucking Barracuda is just chugging it. I'm like, fuck, oh no. And I'm still high, and I get to the top of the hill just barely, and it fucking dies, and I make the turn onto the street, and I can't get it started. And my roommate was this guy named Barry, who I still...
Barracuda?
Barry Barracuda. I came home and woke him up at like 3 a.m. I go, dude, my fucking car is, down the block. And he goes, I'll get it going. And we got up. He got it going, man. And I drove it home, got it home like that 2 blocks. And then I spent like 3 days on the couch, just sick as a fucking dog after that.
Man.
That's tough.
Yeah. Well, I think we've got a little bit of the history covered here.
We do. I got a couple personal questions.
The origin story.
John.
Yeah, Orijon story.
Orijon.
Wow.
John, did you or have you ever gotten into like crystals or anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, I've had a couple people give me some crystals. It's funny. It's funny you should mention that, because this is not a real pretty story, but
The Orijon is dark.
yeah, man. No, but when I was married for almost 11 years, and my wife gave me this big piece of quartz that I kept for a long time. But after we got divorced, I mean, I didn't do it immediately, but I was like, fuck, I'm donating this thing. I got rid of it.
Where'd you donate it to? The trash?
No, I should have.
Fucking divorce courts?
I buried it under the ground and all the trees had died.
But
as soon as I got out of divorce court, I was looking at my divorce courts, and I was like,
Divorce courts.
that's fucking hysterical, man. Divorce courts. No, but you know what else I did was I had a gold band when we were married, and so once my divorce was final, I went to this park, Eben G. Fine Park, and it was in the fall because we got, I don't know when it was final, but it was in September. And
one more time, where's the Goldberry?
yeah, I'm going to tell you.
Next to the courts.
I'm going to tell you. But yeah, I went, and there was Boulder Creek is running through there. And so I'm like, I'm going to throw this ring in the river. My friends were like, you should hawk it.
That's some Lord of the Rings shit.
My precious.
But
One ring to ruin them all.
The ring is guiding me towards quartz.
The ring. You put the quartz in the ring.
But you know, when we
What happened to the courts, John?
We forgot to tell you about the weird voice.
yeah, that's cool. I thought I was on acid again, man. But no, the quartz I think I just donated to Goodwill. But the ring, it cost $80 when we got it. So my friends were like, you should take it to a pawn shop. And I go, what am I going to get? $20-$30 maybe? And it was worth it to me, man. So I'm sitting at the bank of this river waiting for a sign to throw it in. And this fucking leaf just floats down, hits the water. I'm like, good enough for me, man. Boom. Threw it in. And that, you know, I was glad. I didn't.
Was that 2013 when all the floods happened?
No, that was a long time ago. That was like 1996. It was when Bill Clinton taught me how to smoke weed.
So you threw it into the...
I threw it into Boulder Creek. Yeah.
And what
At
was
Eben G.
the
Fine Park?
what was the reasoning you had behind throwing it into nature?
It was just like closure, you know.
Okay.
Like, I mean, I'm not. Well, I wouldn't say it like fuck this whole relationship because
No,
it was
no.
good, but I just it felt like the end of a chapter. So
Did you jump in there too? Did you wash yourself clean?
no, I was
Bathe
already
in the
clean.
river of mistake.
Yeah, I don't think I would get in those even back then, man. There was still a lot of people that were doing some weird shit in that river, I think. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh yeah, so you like when you see all these kids like tubing in the Boulder Creek, you're like, oh, they're gonna get something.
Yeah, sometimes I feel that way. Yeah, I feel that way by the whatever that is, Cherry Creek or whatever down by the Comedy Works.
Oh well,
man.
that's documented that there's tons of E. coli there, but I think Boulder Creek is still
And the
safe publicly, right? Or do they tell people not to get in there?
I don't know. That's a good question, but I'll say this: there's a lot of. I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. There's a lot of homeless people that spend a lot of time by the creek.
Yeah.
So, you know.
the Platte River right there at
You think
Confluence.
they-
Oh, that's Platte. Yeah, that's Platte.
It's brutal where they built the
Yeah.
waves and stuff. Like they made an announcement. The levels of E. coli were not like it was astronomical.
One year before, everybody knew everything because of the internet or whatever. My friends and I were going to go to Elitch's for, I think it was my buddy's birthday or my birthday, and we went there and they were like $60, and we're like, "Fuck that!" We had our seats on and we just walked down there and just bought beers and hung out, and we called it Freelitches.
We'll just boot scoot in the turd water.
Yeah, we're like, oh, so we can spend $180 or we can go buy $50 worth of booze and just go to Freelitches. So we went to Freelitches all day. And I remember the whole time that I was in there, every time I would step, it would feel weird under your feet. There's a lot of weird
That's
stuff
poop.
where you're
You're
like,
stepping in
every time
poo-poo.
you step, you're just like, ooh, I'm glad that's not a needle.
Oh yeah.
Because then, there's people doing drugs down there too. So I don't know.
I know this isn't accurate, but in my mind, when you're like, there are people doing drugs under there, there's people under the water going, here we go.
Yeah. I can breathe longer now.
Yeah. My gills are coming in.
But yeah, it's Turd River now.
Turd River.
Yeah.
Yeah, more like Peeliches.
Well, and you know what's weird too? I mean, I'm a bus rider. I take public transit, and the public restrooms are fucking closing because people are going in there and doing drugs, and then they close them So if I ever get busted peeing outside, that's going to be my defense. Is the meth heads took over the bathrooms and there's no place to piss publicly now.
So you've had to do a lot of outside peeing because of this lately, right?
I've done some outside pee, and I don't want to.
I don't want to brag, but I'm pretty good.
I don't know what the statute of limitations is on outside peeing, but I have done some, yeah, for sure.
I've always thought that that's one of the most ridiculous laws that Denver has, is that supposedly if you get caught peeing outside, you're a sex offender.
Yeah.
I don't think that's just Denver. That's a lot of places.
But that's crazy.
It is. Like, I mean, I get it if you were peeing in front of a playground.
Yeah. Or
Yeah. If you're showing your dick to kids, then you get it.
Yeah, well, right. You're showing your dick to kids, and then when the cops roll up, you start peeing because you're like, no, I was just peeing.
Check out this stream, Billy.
Yeah.
That's a little. I'm pretty dark today, I guess.
I just like Jack going, check out this stream, Billy.
Yeah. That happened when I was a kid. There was a guy that was drunk, and I think he just pulled over and walked up to our fence and whipped it out and started peeing.
Like at school or at
school, and then just like got in his car and drove away. And it was like, it was a big deal though, because everyone was like, "What did that guy just? And they didn't have cameras or anything." It was like elementary school, so like second or third grade.
That's wild.
But the worst that ever happened, I was 14, and I was sitting in this parking lot. My mom was at the optometrist at the mall, and I was sitting there, and this guy in this truck he would like drive in front and like stop and like stare at me.
Was he kind of giving you a show?
And then he would like drive around, and then he'd come back, and I'm like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then
trying to get
the guy pulls up,
get you a little peep.
He pulls up, and then he opens the door and gets out. He doesn't have pants on. He's full hard. He's just looking at me, just jerking. And right as he does that, my mom comes out of the optometrist. I'm like, Mom, that guy's fucking jerking off. And like,
she's like, this is the guy who's babysitting you.
Yeah. Well, so then we hopped in our car and tried to chase down the jerker. But he had a very like identifiable truck with like, it was like a purple custom painted truck with like a decal on the side.
With a big dick that said, I jerk all day.
So we gave a description to the cops, but I was just like, I mean, it was weird because it wasn't, I thought it was hilarious. Like, I'm like, that guy's jerking off to me. Like, what the fuck, but I get, it's pretty fucked up.
We were on an art trip in high school, and I just remember the bus pulling up to the art museum, and they're kind of giving the breakdown of what to do and not to do. And somebody looked out the window, and we just heard a girl scream, and we were like, what's going on? And a construction worker had just decided to take a lunch break, and after his lunch, he must have had extra time, so he just laid down in his chair working one off.
Oh, man.
Wow. Was he still wearing his helmet, his construction helmet?
God, I hope so. I don't remember. I didn't look, but...
Oh, wow. Yeah, dude, fucking... they're like, this is a art dick. This is a sexual assault dick.
Right. It's hard to tell the difference here. It is on on art land.
Yeah. No, that's just called construction worker jerking off in chair number 5.
Right. It's performance art.
Yeah. Is it happening in a Ford? No, that guy's supposed to be there.
There was a guy who would jerk off on the Wi-Fi of the coffee shop.
Wait, what?
So when I used to live behind a coffee shop, and there is an alley between me and this coffee shop, and there's this guy that would just jerk off to the Wi-Fi at the coffee shop.
God. In the coffee shop?
No, he would pull his car into the alley.
What?
And use the Wi-Fi from the coffee shop to jerk off to his laptop in his car. And the guy caught him, and he's like, yeah, man, Zach, I just don't know what to do, man. Like, he's a really good customer. And he's like, I don't know. Do I really care if he's like jerking off in the alley in his car, like, and I was just like, yeah, that's a tough call,
Dude, I've been on the road in a couple of hotels where the Wi-Fi in my room won't work, and you go down to the desk, and it's so hard to have that conversation. We're like, hey, the Wi-Fi is not working. And they're like, just use the one in the lobby. And you're just like, No.
Okay.
You can't do that. Like, what if I was like, all right, just unbuckle?
Yep.
You're like, does the door lock?
Yeah. Can you shut the front door? I need about 7 minutes. if I don't get into a search spiral.
Oh man. Well, yeah. Well,
I think it's weird jerking off in a car. I mean, I get jerking off, but
Yeah.
that just seems, I mean, it makes me wonder what's the rest of that guy's story? He can't do it. Maybe he gets off jerking off in a car. I don't know.
Maybe it's I don't know. I had a weird situation one time in Iowa at a rest stop. I had to pee really bad, and I went in. This bothered me immensely. I go in. There's a guy next to me. There's 3 things. No one else is in there, just him and I. And he goes right next to me. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna not act weird about this, be homophobic. And then I kind of start looking over because I get a weird feeling. Dude is full hard. And he's just kind of leaned over so that I can see it. And I was like, oh no, God damn it, what is happening? So I leave.
at a urinal?
At a urinal, it's like a rest stop on the highway. And the worst part about it for me was I walked out. He's got a minivan. He was driving. There's his wife and all these kids. And I got in the car and told Marciana, I was like, that guy's going to have a rough run.
What? How was it?
Oh, it was tasty. No, what? What are you asking? How was what? How was the hog?
Yeah.
Dude, I don't. I know that it was fully engorged. Like, I know it was really hard. And the dude, like, because the thing is like, it's one thing if you have like a pee boner, I guess it's one thing. But this dude was kind of like trying to act like he wasn't showing it, but then obviously kind of opened up a little bit.
Explain what a pee boner is for those in our audience that don't know.
You never woken up?
I mean, I know what it is, but
okay, a pee boner is like when you wake up and you got a boner and it's full of pee, I guess. I don't know. It's like the first.
See, here's
pee.
what I've always wondered: is the boner because of the pee?
Or is the pee because of the boner? John, do you want to chime in on pee boners?
Yeah, I'm ready to talk about pee boners. I did a study on pee boners my junior year, and the two are unrelated.
You heard it. You heard it here first, people. Pee bones, fake news.
So, you've been a vegetarian for a very long time.
Yeah, I'll bet you I've been a vegetarian for probably 28 years, maybe 30 years. I've never been a vegan, but I've been a vegetarian for that long.
And was this health reasons or?
It was just like
moral?
in Pulp Fiction when Samuel L. Jackson's character goes, if your lady's a vegetarian, you're a vegetarian too. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that was the reason why I got married to Lynn, my ex-wife. We lived together for like 4 years before that, before I got married.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And then I was just like, at first I was fixing, separate meals and shit. And I go, this is stupid. I'm just going to, become a vegetarian. So I became a vegetarian. We were married for like 11 years. And after I divorced, I just kept being a vegetarian. I liked it.
Did you notice any type of inner health changes once you stopped eating meat, or no real difference?
It was a long time ago. I don't remember any real difference, but it was funny because my mother was still alive then, and she was always concerned about my protein.
Yeah.
And I even did a joke about, where people always say, "Where do you get your protein from?" I'm like, that's a rude question to ask somebody. But I do think it did, make a difference. I just don't remember an actual physical change where I was like, wow.
But now, so vegetarian, but you still eggs?
Yeah, I'll eat eggs. I like to go out for breakfast.
Ovo-lacto.
Yeah, there you go. I'm lacto-ovo, which means I want to be spanked by a large German woman. Yeah. Zach is just setting me up for the jokes out of my act. But I like to eat an omelet every once in a while. I really am trying to stay away from cheese. I think that's one of the hardest things if you're a vegan. And I've got friends who are vegan that go, "Oh, you should try this cheese or that cheese." Man, every time I'm like, this is horrible. And then if you try to melt that shit,
it's the worst.
You need to torch it to melt it. I don't know how you melt it.
You got to have a dab rig just to get it down.
Yeah, I'm dabbing soy
It's like
cheese.
mostly nut A lot of them.
Yeah,
are
there's
nut
people say
cheese.
cashew cheese.
Yeah,
is
and
good.
so it's interesting you bring that up because that guy from Iowa was making cheese in the bathroom with his nut.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, the old nut cheese.
So gross.
Yeah, but yeah, I've heard cashew cheese. I don't know. I just can't find any that I like, and I'm
Cheese is
trying
so
to cut
good.
back on dairy.
But
I was going to say, do you grow any of your own food?
I live in a 1-bedroom apartment, so my brother, I have an older brother, man. He and his wife are really big gardeners. Like his whole backyard, he's got a big vegetable garden.
is it a vegetarian also or no?
No, they're not vegetarians. And I want to do an album and call it Vegetarian Son of a Butcher. Because when I was a kid growing up, my mom and dad had a grocery store, you know, and my father was the meat cutter. And then he passed away when I was pretty young. My mom would hire, you know, other butchers. But I just like that title, Vegetarian Son of a Butcher.
So your dad was, how old were you when your dad passed away?
I was 6. My brother was like 10 or 11, and my sister was like 9.
Oh, so you're part of 3.
Yeah, I'm the youngest of 3.
Okay.
Okay, wow. So, and what was, so do you remember a whole lot about your dad or not
I
really?
don't. I just remember a couple things about my dad, but not much at all. And then I really do have so much respect for my mother who passed away in like 2007, but she really did a hell of a job, you know, just made sure we always had what we needed. And she never remarried. She dated a guy named Al, who I never liked as a kid. And he was a lush. He was an alcoholic. Like I'd find bottles around, you know, of ancient age. That's what he drank. And my mom, I mean, I loved her, but it was like a codependent thing. Like they'd break up and he'd come back.
Oh, yeah.
She finally fucking, you know, had enough. But he was in our life for quite a while.
What kind of person was your mom? What did she do for a living?
She kept the grocery store open for probably like maybe 6 years after my dad died.
Oh, wait. So they owned the grocery store?
Yeah, it was called Joe's Grocery. My dad was Joe.
Okay.
So, and then she, like I say, she would hire meat cutters, you know, and so she ran the front of the store. She kept that open for like 6 years, and then she became, that's why I really have a lot of respect for her, because, I mean, she went to work at a doctor's office as a receptionist. She rented out the building, you know, which was great because she owned the building, so that gave a little bit of income. But she worked for this doctor for years, and then eventually, you know, she learned bookkeeping and became an accountant and all that kind of stuff.
What did your mom think of your hippie lifestyle?
Oh, she was good with it. My mom was definitely a Democrat. She was liberal. I mean, she got concerned about the marijuana. I had to be really honest with her. I went to a concert to see Joe Walsh, of all people. And at the Denver Coliseum, when I was like I had just started smoking weed, and there were 3 of us, Rick and my buddy Ken.
Oh, I thought there were 3 of you. You're like, you split into 2 different.
Exactly. I was like, and I've only got 1 ticket. No, but my buddy Rick, who drove, got busted. He had pot in his pocket, and somehow this cop, he had like a bulky pocket, and this Denver cop reached in and pulled out a bag of weed, and I had weed on me, but I had it hid.
You had it in your inside coat pocket.
Exactly. Yeah.
Double bag.
Yeah.
Double
fuck yeah.
bag. This kid's wearing a suit jacket into Joe Walsh.
What the hell's going on? But they took Rick off, man.
Oh, wow.
So then this was before
The cop reached in his fucking pocket.
Yeah, he had on like a outer coat. It was kind of cold and it was bulky. And this cop's like, "What's in there?" And fucking boom, pulled it out. And so they took him away.
It was like a 0 tolerance.
Which
back
that's
then,
like
right?
that's a crime though. Like the way the cop did that, like that's illegal.
I would have said this was like maybe 1972 or something like that. So, so then my friend and I are like, "Fuck, man, what are we gonna do?" And so we went and found another cop and talked to him. And I said, "Hey, they just took my friend off. How can we get him out?" And the cop was like, "You just got to keep calling Denver PD until they post bail." So we're like, "Fuck." So then we're like, "Well, let's go to the concert. What else are we going to do?" We go in. I run into my cousin at the concert. So he gives us a ride back to Boulder, and we keep trying to call every time we were at a payphone or whatever. And they just keep saying he's under investigation, under investigation. So I lived at home, man. I was like 17. So I go home and I just tell my mom that night. And my brother and sister get up. It was like a fucking weird scene from Eight Is Enough or whatever.
Your brother and sister like listening behind the hallway, and they're like, "Oh, John's doing the marijuana.
Johnny's in trouble.
Johnny's doing the drugs.
Oh God!
Do your
I just
siblings
snorted.
call you Johnny?"
Yeah, and
I don't think I've heard you snort before, John.
yeah, I just did. I just snorted. Yeah, my mom called me Johnny. Lynn called me Johnny. My sibs called me Johnny. So I was up front with my mom. I go, look, I'm going to level with you. Rick got busted on the way to the concert. I got a ride home with my cousin Tony. But I go, he got busted for marijuana. But I said, I don't want you to think he's the dealer. We all had marijuana. I just had mine hidden better. I mean, I was really upfront with her, because I didn't want her to think he was the dealer because he wasn't,
Yeah.
But of course she did. And then she was like, you're never going to see him.
You told her that you had marijuana?
Oh, yeah. I told her we all had it,
Oh, damn. That was maybe going a little too far, John.
No. I like this. This is Honest John.
Honest Johnny.
Yeah. Honest Johnny. No, I was upfront with her, And
Wow, so you gave her your sack?
No, I didn't give it to her.
Oh,
I just
you're
told
like,
her I
you
had
did-
it.
you're like, I
she
have
never
weed and
asked
you
me for it. I
kept
think
it?
she was so upset and shit she didn't even think to ask for it. And so but she did. She thought that Rick was the dealer and, forbade me or forbid me to see him and shit for a while. But I was just upfront with her. And I don't think she ever
Who
asked
was
me
your
for the
dealer?
weed. It was Rick. No.
Yeah, what was it like buying weed back then?
God,
like
it was shitty. I mean, that's the thing.
Was it readily available in Boulder, though?
Yeah.
because this is like even before a pager and voicemail, pretty much,
yeah.
right? So what you'd like call your dealer, and if they weren't home, you're just like, well, I guess I'll call back in 10 minutes.
Yeah, kind of like that. But I mean, also, my circle of friends all had access to weed, so we get it that way. I had a friend who lived in an
Oh, your
attic.
circle of friends.
Yeah.
He's not Johnny Narc anymore.
Yeah,
Looks like Honest John's wanting a bag of seeds.
yeah. But no, I had a friend who lived up in an attic in a house in Boulder, and he would deal. So like, we'd buy like a
In
quarter.
a drug addict.
Yeah. Yeah, man. But like a bunch of us would get together and buy like a quarter pound from him and split it up. But the weed was
How much was a quarter pound?
Oh fuck, I don't know, man. That's a good question.
4 ounces, right?
Well, I know how much it is.
You mean
what did it
cost-wise.
cost? Yeah,
I'm just gonna guess like
it's
maybe
four lids, right?
yeah, it was like $50 or $60. I don't know, something like that.
That's
Damn.
wow.
But it was,
So that's the price that weed is now.
Right.
a quarter pound for $50.
No, it's more like 800 a pound, but
Yeah.
it's crazy how
Oh yeah.
much it's fallen.
Yeah, I think I remember paying, like 3 something or 4 something for a QP in the late 90s.
Yeah.
I got an ounce for $30 the other day
Where?
at Livewell on 420, which it wasn't very good weed. They're just right by my house. I was like, I wonder what deals they have, and I went over there, and it was like, or no, it was $17. I got an ounce.
That's pretty
for.
good.
But yeah,
Speaking
so
of which, do you still have my lighter?
It's my lighter now.
Yeah, I asked for it. Rules is rules. John's like, did I steal it?
I got mine.
I might need it again though.
Yeah.
So
Let me see one more time.
This is
but what amazes me is how fucking good the weed how good the weed is now, man. I mean, it's crazy
yeah, man.
compared to back then.
Person can really get paralyzed on the stuff.
And I've never smoked a dab. I don't want to smoke a dab.
It's too intense. So what I've realized
Well,
about me.
how do you know you don't want to smoke a dab if you've never smoked a dab?
Well, I guess I can't say with 100% certainty, but just from the research I've done, I don't want to be that high. The pot is so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dabs are pretty dumb.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
get you pretty high.
yeah. I have a story about a dab. I was in Casper, Wyoming, doing shows. And I can't remember what the name of that place was. You remember that place? Anyway.
Oh, was it in a bar?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yes.
The Friendly Ghost.
No, no, it was a weird place because you would go in the bar and you kind of went into another room. I did it a long time ago.
But anyway, these people said, hey, do you want to come over to our house and have a beer? And their house is literally like, I can see the place. So I'm like, all right, I'll go there. And it's like these 5 couples or whatever. We're in this garage that's
Swingtown.
yeah. Next thing I know, I'm throwing my keys in a hat.
Yeah.
P-boner John.
Yeah. No, but so we're drinking beer and smoking weed in this garage that's like finished, you know? And then they start smoking dabs, and I go, I've never smoked a dab. And the guy who owns the house goes, that's when I went by Hippie Man. He goes, I want to be the first person to smoke a dab with Hippie Man. And I was like, no offense, dude, but my first dab isn't going to be in a garage in Casper, Wyoming. You know? And I didn't. I mean, I have never smoked one.
I bet I would have done it when I was younger, but it just seems way too intense.
You've
for me.
never done it either, huh?
I've never done a dab, but also like I'm a one. Like if I try to smoke pot, I do one hit, I set it down and see where I'm at an hour later.
Right.
Yeah, I don't like dabs very much. I will smoke them with Jake Becker sometimes, just because that's fucking, I don't know, he loves it.
Dude, when we were at the Chief and he was like, I just drank 1,000 milligrams of live resin. And I was like, what? And then I got off after doing the late breakfast set where I had a wild panic attack. And I was like, he goes, how was that? And I was like, I don't know, I'm doing okay. And he goes, my legs are numb.
God, that's crazy.
No, so Becker, fucking Becker went to coding school, and now he has a job where he's like, I'm making 8 times a week what I used to make,
Yeah.
which means he can do as much weed as he wants. I don't know if that's a good thing.
I did that. I did the last Bridgetown Festival in Portland, and I'm checking into my hotel, and I run into Jake.
Yeah. No, I did it too. I was there with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, that was like 8 years ago, I think.
Yeah, that was
9
cool to
or
get in
7
the
years
last
ago.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, we did Uncalled For there those last 2 years.
that's cool.
But edibles sometimes get that way too. Like I know dabs are like immediate, but like I have a hard time if I go overboard on edibles, which essentially is not a lot. Like I am going to have a tough time. I get heart racy and like my day is done.
The thing about edibles too, then, I mean, you just got to ride it out for hours if you do too much. I'm really cautious. I do like 10 at a time.
I think you can
10
take
milligrams.
I think you can take an anti-inflammatory.
Like a ibuprofen?
Yeah, NSAID or whatever. I
Mm-hmm.
think they block the receptors that make you feel high too.
So if you get too high, take an ibuprofen?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah. Let me this might be a good trashy life hack.
All right, let's see, man.
Oh, I don't think I talked about this, but here's an interesting hippie hack if you are in the Midwest. I had this bizarre thing where, and I talked about this a couple of episodes ago, but I had my beard and my hair, and I was in Missouri, and I went into a Walmart, and people were like treating me really odd. And like the greeter was like greeting everyone, refused to greet me. And then when I left, she was telling everyone like, have a blessed day, have a blessed day, have a blessed day. And then I got up, she just nodded at me. And then the person behind me, she said, have a blessed day. It freaked me out. I called Marciana and she goes, well, with your beard and hair and hat on, she goes, they probably think that like you're Middle Eastern or something. They don't know what you are. And I was like, well, that's racist. And she goes, yeah, it happened again at a gas station where people were weird to me. So what I did was I pulled my hair back and left it under my hat so that it looked like a curly mullet. And I walked into a gas station, and as soon as I did, this dude goes, hey, man, how you doing? And I was like, this is fucked up.
Yeah. That's fucked up.
I like the term curly mullet.
Curly mullet?
Yeah. But I mean, I get that. People don't think I'm Middle Eastern, but they think I'm just a bum, you know, a homeless guy.
I think Josh Blue told me that you guys had problems going into a restaurant one time.
Yeah, we did.
What happened?
Should I say the name of the restaurant? I won't say, but it was over.
Here, we can do say it.
Okay.
So we went in there, and I was headlining at the downtown club, and Josh, contacted me and said, "Do you want to get together for a beer or something?" I said, "Yeah, if you want to do a guest set, that's great." So he goes, "I might want to get some food." I'm like, "That's cool. I'll go with you." So we go into this place, and it's crowded. I mean, it's really busy, but there's like, I don't know, 7 or 8 seats at the bar. So Josh and I go in. There, somebody greets us, this guy, and we go to, and he goes, "Okay, it'll be just a minute or two." Then some other guy comes out, like a manager type.
Classic swaparoo.
Yeah, man. And he was like, "I'm sorry, but we don't have any seats." And so we're like, "What about," we point at the bar, and he goes, "Those are reserved also." And I was like, "Okay," And so we walk out, and Josh is like, "Fuck that guy, man." He goes, "I want to go back in there." I go, "I don't know, Josh, if we should go back in there, but if you go in there, I'll go with you, So then we walked across the street to another restaurant.
Yeah.
And fuck, man, total opposite. They treated us like gold, and there was a,
Well, I'm surprised they probably knew who you guys were.
well, they recognized us at the other place, but the place was cool. And there was a former server who worked at that place, and she saw us, and she's like, "I'll buy you guys beer and dessert." It was like the total opposite. But yeah, they just thought we were bums.
Yeah, I've had that happen sometimes when I look a little rough.
Yeah.
Or just in general. I don't know. Especially if I have a lot of shit with me. Like recently on that train trip, I had like a backpack and a suitcase.
See, I almost always have a backpack because I'm taking the bus from Boulder to Denver, and then I'll have shit in a backpack, extra weather gear or whatever. But yeah, that was fucking crazy. And that guy was just a dick, man. I'm not kidding you. At that bar, and I've gone into that same place before and sat at the bar and ordered food or whatever without any issues. And there was at least 6 or 7 seats, and he's like, "Oh, they're all reserved." We're like, "All right, fuck you."
Speaking of dicks, you had a problem the other night.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude.
So it was a week ago tonight. I'm at Comedy Works New Talent Night. They put on 5 pros at the end. So I'm like third to the last. AJ was there. You were on that
Yeah,
night
I
too,
closed that one out last.
Yeah. And so I'm on stage. The MC brings me up. And I literally do one joke, and the joke was, "I'm feeling really good tonight."
Yeah.
I took some pills I found on the bus. It's part of my healthcare plan. And as soon as I said, the guy's timing couldn't have been better. I said healthcare plan, and I couldn't see because the lights were in my eyes being on stage. But this guy literally fucking crashed into the edge of the stage. I mean, that's the way I saw it.
I watched the whole thing from the side. And I mean, it was, if you're on stage to your right, there were 3 girls there, and wherever that row is that comes down, like he just, like, I don't know where he came from. He was in a wheelchair, so his legs didn't work. And I mean, you watched his head just kind of go boom.
He fell out of the wheelchair
He
onto
took
the
a
stage?
header on the stage.
But it was like he fucking, I didn't see it, but it was like he
Like
flew
from
out.
the upper deck? Or he was down on the ground?
No. Yeah, the upper, like right when you get ready to start going down. So you would have to go through.
the piano?
No.
The
Other side.
The jury. He hit the
Oh.
outside on the jury box.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so I have the audio. I listened to the tape, and I'm going to get the video, but I listened to it, and I go, "It's part of my healthcare plan." And you hear this thump, and then the crowd just goes, "Whoa." And so I'm standing up there, and I've had nothing quite that crazy happen before, but in my mind, I'm like, do I just tell the audience we're going to take a break? What the fuck do I do? And it was just, there's big, long portions where I'm quiet because I can't really do a play-by-play.
Right.
I don't know if the guy's hurt, but at one point when I still wasn't sure if he was all right, I just said, "I hope this doesn't count against my time."
Yeah, that was so funny.
Got a good laugh.
What was going on? He just was he unconscious or?
No, I'm gonna say one thing about this. Like, this guy had a Blue Lives Matter hat on, and he was kind of a curmudgeon to begin with. And we saw him come in, and what happened was so jarring because I've never been this way. I've never seen somebody actively like get hurt, and you heard everyone just go, "Oh my God, is that guy okay?" It took so many people to get him up into his chair. And John was on stage, and at one point, the guy wasn't even Asian. He goes, "You Chinese guys," and smacked this guy twice in the face. And I was like, what the fuck is
guy
happening?
who was helping him get back into the chair.
Right? And then they get him backstage. They let John go off and come back on to start doing his set. And the guy is still mouthing off, and his wife is going, "Shut up. Just shut up." I have never been in a position where I saw someone get hurt, felt concerned, and then immediately after was like, I wish he would have knocked himself out. Like, I was so pissed. And I wanted to make the joke on the closing, but I didn't think the audience would go with me, that I was like, I find it amazing that a guy was such a piece of shit.
Did he make it to the end of the show?
No, they took him out right afterwards. But that this guy in my head saw John come out, heard a joke, and just went, "Draft dodging hippie," and got so pissed off he lunged toward the stage and forgot his legs didn't work.
It was crazy, man. I mean, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me when I was on stage. And then when they reintroduced me, I opened with, "Hey, you guys, something really weird happened to me earlier tonight, man."
So you did go off the stage for a while.
I didn't go off. Because I almost did. And then I could see they
Who
were getting
introduced
back.
you, like over the God mic?
Well, no, I went.
They're like,
I was,
"Welcome back, John Novosad," while you're standing.
Andres with the MC. Was
Yeah.
Andres
Andreas.
Purcell?
Yeah.
Andreas Purcell, yeah.
Yeah.
Brant Tobler was sitting right up there
Yeah.
for some reason with, I think, his girlfriend or whatever. But he goes, "John, they should reintroduce you." And so it all just happened really quick right there. He brought me back up. And that's when, I mean, I just stepped off for a second. But I almost said, "Hey, we're going to take a little break." But I could see that they were trying to get this guy back in the wheelchair. So in my mind, I'm like, just fucking hang tight for another few minutes. Or it seemed like it took forever.
It
Probably
did.
was like-
I bet you it was 2.5 minutes
Yeah.
total, but every second people were just like, "What's going on?" It was wild.
And then I said, when Brant said, "Reintroduce me," I said, "Yeah, they're going to reintroduce me because I'm taping." And I go, "You can bet I'm going to get a copy of this fucking tape tonight." It was crazy, but it all worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the craziest thing I've seen is this woman in the bus in the front row. Jessica Curson was on, and she just started puking in her purse. And then Cassie came over with like a bucket and a glass of water, and the lady started taking like drinks of the water, swishing it around in her mouth, and then spitting into the trash can.
Like a boxer?
Yeah. And then she just like waved Cassie away.
And she stayed for the show?
Like waved Cassie away. Like,
As though this happens all the time. Be
Yeah,
on with
like-
you, servant.
like onward. And then just proceeded to sit there. And drink, and she puked like 4 or 5, like she was puking in her purse for like a good minute. And man, Jessica Curson was fucking, her crowd work was great. But like the most fun was in the green room after, because we were just like trying to think like what her thing was, you know? Like we were like, oh, like that's her, like, because we were all like, who the fuck when they're puking doesn't just get up and run out of the room? Like you cover your mouth. If you're puking in your purse, you're running out of the room, puking in your purse to, you know.
Right.
And then we're like, you know, part of me thinks that she pukes all the time. So she just has, we're like, she has one purse that's just for throwing up.
The puke purse.
I need to sit in the back.
Yeah,
I'm a
like,
puker.
She's got like a bag in there, and she's just like fucking. She's like, oh, hold on.
Pardon me.
Jesus.
This is my
That's
puke
wild.
purse. But yeah, she just, and there was only like 5-10 minutes of the show left, but she sat there till the end of it and then walked out with her vomit in her purse.
I saw this one time. This person didn't get sick, but there's a comic named Roger Rittenhouse who was in Denver forever, and then he moved to LA and he's a writer there now. But he was headlining the Comedy Works, and he's on stage, and it's the same thing off to the right there on the jury box or whatever. This guy is talking to him and heckling him, and Roger knows him. So the first time he goes, say like the guy's name is Bob, he's like, "Hey, Bob," you know, blah blah blah. The guy keeps talking, heckling Roger, and they know each other, and so finally. This guy won't shut up, and Roger goes, "Bob, you were an asshole in high school. He goes, you're still an asshole. And he goes, I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I can't continue this show until they throw Bob out. I mean, he literally fucking, the staff comes. The whole thing stops. Roger stays on stage, and then the staff comes, and he's right, really close to the stage. So everybody sees it. And then they march him out, and the audience cheers and shit. And Roger starts up again. And I mean, it seemed like 3 or 4 minutes. It took a while. But man, he got him back, and then he just killed him. So I said to him after the show, I go, Roger, that was amazing to watch, man. That was something. And he goes, I had no choice, but it was great. He goes, Bob, you were an asshole in high school, and you're still an asshole.
I've never seen someone be thrown out whose name the comic knows.
That was so good, man.
That had to be I don't know, what a great like justice moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then he's waiting outside. All his friends from high school are inside, and he's like, people are like, "What are you doing out here?" And he's like, "Oh, I got thrown out for being an asshole in high school, and I'm still an asshole."
Yeah. It was great, man.
Oh man.
I bet he's waiting outside looking for a fight. That seems like what he would do, maybe.
Yeah, probably looking for Roger.
Yeah, no, that's us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, John. Bob Dylan. I know you're a Bob Dylan fan.
Yeah.
Best decade.
Best decade.
And it doesn't have to be most popular, just your favorite decade of Bob Dylan.
I'm going to say like the 1970s probably.
Okay. 'Cause he was still acoustic there, right?
Well, no. I mean, I would go maybe a little bit later.
Okay.
Because he had gone electric, but there's albums, I don't know what year it came out. New Morning is one of the albums. I think that was in the 70s. There was like that period there. Let's take a look and see. I'll ask Siri. Hey, Siri, what year did New Morning come out by Bob Dylan? 1970.
Okay. So you're spot on.
Yeah. That's probably my favorite, but I really like those religious albums.
I remember you talking about that once.
That was when you were in high school, right?
Yeah, 70.
Yeah. So.
But that was the point where like Bob Dylan like no longer like he became Christian at one point and stopped being Jewish, right?
Yeah, he had like 3 albums. Slow Train Comin', which is probably the most popular of those religious albums. Then he had one called Saved that was really like a lot of gospel type music, and then Shot of Love. But what I really liked about those albums was the configuration of the band, man. He had horns, he had backup singers, It was a real big sound.
Yeah, Dylan always sounds better with backup singers.
Well, now, it's like my friend says, if you go to see Bob Dylan in concert, he's going to sing Blowing in the Wind, but it ain't going to sound like 1963 Blowing in the Wind.
No. I watched him play with backup singers. He was in Rhinestones and a 10-gallon hat.
Really?
And it was the Americanarama tour. He played piano. He never played the guitar.
Yeah.
And it was this whole thing where they put up mirrors and didn't want anyone taking photography. So they set the mirrors up so that if you took a picture and there was a flash, it would bounce back and basically block that.
How long ago was that?
2015 maybe?
Man,
something like that. But I mean, I just remember at one point he was doing this, like he had his hand on his hip and he was doing that. And I was getting mad because I was like, what are you teapot handling? Like, it felt like he was mocking me for the price of the ticket.
Yeah, I really liked. I had a Bob Dylan phase where I was pretty into him, and he came here, and I looked at the tickets and was like, I had talked to a bunch of people that had seen him recently, and I was like, I don't think I want to pay this money to go to this show.
I get it. No, I understand because it's not. I mean, I'll go every chance I get because the guy's like, I don't know, 80 or whatever, but I get it. I mean, he sounds like a blues singer now, and there's times where like he's playing a tune that I'm really familiar with, and it takes me like 90 seconds to figure out what tune it is.
Because he's notoriously doing things his own way.
Yeah,
and
he
changes
reinvents it.
Yeah.
Which I think is cool. But yeah, he does. He sounds like an old blues singer now.
Yeah, well, I heard he just like was a dick too and didn't play a lot, and that it, like a lot of people that I heard went But like they didn't get. This was that tour too, where I think he was like pissed off and calling a lot of shows short. Like, don't you remember something like that happening? Where
We had some weird stuff at the Americanarama tour where it was because Bob Weir was sitting in sometimes. It was My Morning Jacket, Wilco, and everybody was doing mashups. And Bob Weir was sitting in with everybody. And so naturally everyone was like, oh, we're going to get a Dylan and Dead set. And Bob Dylan was like, this is my show. I don't want anyone else getting involved.
Wow. That's pretty crazy because they did. There's an album that's Dylan and the Dead.
Yeah. Well, they toured for a while in the like mid 80s or something.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy for sure. I've heard that he's a dick, but I don't know. I never, met him.
I really wonder if he's on the spectrum. I think he's like very.
yeah, I don't know. I love it. My favorite quote is it Oliver Stone who made that? Or Scorsese?
Scorsese
made that. Yeah, that black and white documentary or whatever. It's great, but I love it. This woman's like, I need your autograph, and he's like, if you needed it, you'd already have it.
Wow, that's great. I wonder, was that like in the 60s?
Yeah, I think it was.
Because there was another documentary called, I think it's called Don't Look Back by this guy, D.A. Pennebaker, who was a big documentary guy. That's funny, though.
Yeah.
If you needed it, you'd already have it.
Yeah.
Well, he was around and involved with everything because he also he dated like Edie Sedgwick, I think, for a little while. He was in and around the Warhol situation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I heard he used to like anyone he'd stay with, he'd just like take whatever records he wanted when he'd leave.
Yeah?
Yeah. And he'd be like, oh, I needed that music more than they did.
Yeah. And they never said, well, if you needed that record, you'd already have it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So.
Well, and the story is like, I can't remember. It was in England somewhere when he went electric, and people were booing and stuff, and the band was backing him up, and supposedly, and you can kind of hear it, but it's hard to tell exactly what he was saying. But supposedly, he turned around to the band and said, "Play fucking loud."
Yeah, that is like such an interesting transition for. And it's crazy how people were like, how there was like this like people in the folk movement were like, fuck electric guitars.
Yeah, they're mad at him because he's going electric.
Yeah, they're like, who the fuck do you think you are playing an amplified electric? Like what the fuck?
Well, he released an album in like 2001, 2002, maybe something like that, where, gosh, it was a lot of electric stuff, and it was real bluesy. I can't remember the name of it, but I can see it. It was like him in a red cover, but it was really good.
That's interesting. I wish I knew what album that was. But yeah, he and then he did that Time Out of Mind, which was like 1996 or something like that, and he won a Grammy for that.
Okay.
And then he was touring. When he was touring, he'd have the Grammy on his amp, which I thought was cool.
Well, I think this album might have had Buckets of Rain. Did you ever hear that?
Oh, that's fucking.
That one, it broke my heart, but God, it's so Buckets of Rain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a Billy Joel song.
No,
we do have to. We do have to get into that.
Oh no, that's Buckets of Pasta.
Yeah.
That's Buckets of Spaghetti.
Buckets of Rain is on Blood on the Tracks.
Okay.
That's like one of his most popular albums. That has Tangled Up in Blue on it. And yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah.
But yeah, Billy Joel.
Yeah, so since we touched on that, what is the Billy Joel beef?
I just never liked his music. I always thought it was cheesy, and I don't know. I just never liked it. So then one day I was just feeling like a smart ass on social media. I said, I want to fight Billy Joel. I'll fight him anywhere, And then, people picked up on it a little bit on social media, and they'll post pictures of Billy Joel and shit to try to get me going.
So I actually, my cousin is related to Billy Joel.
No kidding.
And I got his number.
Come on.
And I showed him like how you'd been talking shit,
Right.
and
Did Billy Joel?
we're gonna get him on the line here.
All right. This is really
So-
Billy Joel.
Hey, this is Billy.
Wow. Hey, Billy. I still don't like your music. You sound like a badass. But
I heard you been talking shit, John Novosad. Hippie man.
yeah, man, I have been talking shit. Like I say, I think your music's kind of cheesy.
Heard you like to fight on the bus. You wanna step in the ring with Billy?
Fuck yeah, man. I ride the FF1.
Don't try to put your hand in the air. I've already been hip to that trick.
Yeah, man. That's my big move.
Well, thanks for picking up, Billy. It was it's good to hear from you.
No problem, Zach. I love Hippie Not Hippie. It's my favorite podcast. Have a great day.
Wow.
You heard it first. The piano man loves it.
Yeah. And I wonder what he does to his voice to make him be able to sing.
I think he's been smoking a lot.
And you know who else I don't like is Bob Seger.
Oh man,
Whoa,
see that's
Silver
one that's one that I would argue with you on because I think Bob Seger's got some great songs, but
And, well, I'll tell you why. My ex was a big Bob Seger fan, and so when we were married, we'd always tease each other because I was like, "Oh God, not another Bob Seger tune." And then after we got divorced, and I threw the ring in the river, I was like, "Fuck Bob Seger."
so
There's some animosity there, I guess.
do you like Bruce Springsteen?
I'm not a. I mean, I respect all of them for what they accomplished in the business.
Because
but
I would think if anything you wouldn't like Bruce Springsteen.
I'm not a big Bruce Springsteen fan either. But I feel the same way.
But he has some great songs, and he's a
yeah.
great live performer. I
Yeah,
think.
for
Like I
sure.
like
He's-
Atlantic City a lot. I think that's a
Yeah,
good song of his.
Yeah, and I
don't know.
The band does a version of that.
Oh, the band is
But-
so good.
I feel the same way about Bruce Springsteen that I feel about Carrot Top. You know what I mean? Like, I have nothing but respect for Carrot Top because he's got a fucking theater in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
It's just not my particular brand of humor. That's the way I feel about Bruce Springsteen's music. It's not really my thing, but good for him. He's had an incredible career.
But do you like carrots?
Do I like carrots?
Yeah, but he cuts the top off.
Yeah. I don't like the tops of them, but I like carrots.
All right. Well, yeah, John also has a lot of opinions on fruits and vegetables online.
Yeah.
Follow John if you want opinions on fruits and vegetables, Billy Joel and Bob Seger.
Yeah. Somebody wrote Bob Seger would kick your ass, man. He probably would.
Well, that's the strange thing. Is Billy Joel from Jersey? Is he a Jersey guy?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
No, I'm not from Jersey. I'm from Little Italy.
Little.
Mamma mia.
It's me, Billy Joel.
Say, I'm gonna eat a pizza, man. Listen to me getting all inappropriate. Let's see.
I like how John's like, I'm going to eat a pizza. Look at me getting inappropriate.
Let's see where he was born. I'm looking right now. He was born in New York City, man.
New York City.
I told you, Little Italy, I bet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I was like, I think it's Big Italy.
Let's do a few rapid fire questions here. You own
Okay.
any tie dye?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you wear open toed shoes?
No.
Do you own no Birkenstocks?
No.
Have you ever spent a large amount of time barefoot?
No.
Mother Earth or Father Time?
Mother Earth.
Okay.
Do you care about the zodiac?
No.
Do you know what your sign is?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I care slightly. I'm on the cusp of Cancer and Leo.
Do you think rocks have magic powers?
Whoa. Yeah, I do.
Oh, wow.
Divorce courts?
Divorce courts.
Somewhere somebody's got my divorce quartz.
Jam bands, yay or nay?
Nay.
Which are you most likely to use? Dude, man, or bro?
Man.
Would you rather die when you're having a great day or a bad day?
Great day.
Mustache, beard, or sideburns?
Mustache. I've had the mustache the longest of any of it.
Okay.
Do you burn any stuff?
Incense?
I burn incense occasionally.
Nag Champa?
Ploof?
Sage?
Not in my butt.
That would be
That's a boof.
That's it.
boof and incense.
Boof, not a
It gets,
ploof.
gets tricky towards the end of that stick of incense, man.
This Naga Champa's going to hurt near the end.
Yeah. I have some sage incense. I used to have a sage smudge
What?
thing.
Yeah.
Did you use it?
Yeah, I used it.
Did you believe that it was removing evil spirits from your home?
That's a good question. I don't know. Maybe it was just the placebo effect, you know?
Yeah. All right.
So is it something like when you did it, you just felt like a rejuvenation of something?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Okay.
You know? And I think about that sometimes.
Have you ever had your fortune told, palm read, anything like that?
Yeah, I have a couple times. I have a friend who lives in Longmont, and we'll get together and go out for lunch or coffee or whatever, and we've gone to one of those places and had our fortunes told.
And one more question. This one's not, this is more of a longer question, but
Okay.
at what point did you, when you started comedy, did you start as Hippie Man?
Mm-mm.
So you started as John Novosad, you went to Hippie Man, and then you went back. What was the timeline of that?
Well, I started comedy like 1980, a long time ago, but I'd say I started working the road like around 1985. And I got married in 85, so Lynn knew I was a comic. So I did the road, and then I was working this place in San Diego called the Comedy Isle. And there was a place called Dead Headquarters. And I went in there, and they had all this tie-dyed stuff, and they had like these tie-dyed long underwear things.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, I'm going to become like a superhero tie-dyed character. And so I bought all this stuff.
That's so cool.
I bought all this stuff and I brought it back home, and I was telling my wife, Lynn, and she goes, wow, that's really weird. She goes,
She just like went and put on some Bob Seger and cried in the corner.
yeah.
Just 1,000-yard stare. listening to Dustin.
night moves. Don't want no tie-dye
So-
jumpsuits.
I just started, I put together, like I had a tie-dyed shirt and then these weird tights. They weren't even tights then. I finally found a place that had tights that had a tie-dyed pattern on them. And so then I was like, I need tearaway clothes. So I bought an extra big pair of dress pants at the thrift store, went and found a seamstress who would put, Velcro in them. And then I just would duct tape my shirt closed and wear a tie so you couldn't see it. And I would tear it all away. So I don't know.
Was this the closer?
Yeah, that was my closer.
Well, that was your closer for how long?
God, a long time. Probably over 10 years.
Yeah.
And it was funny because
I saw it once or twice. Yeah.
And I mean, I had a friend who said, keep doing it and it will evolve, but it never did because at the end, I'm just a guy standing up there in fucking tights, man. And so, and I would try to, like, I'd have friends go into Hippie Man earlier, and that was not good.
Well, because if you go in too early, then you're on the rest of the set in these tights.
Yeah, and I mean, if they buy in, that's great. But if they don't, then you're literally just a guy in tights telling jokes.
Do you have a particularly long night where you what's the earliest you went into Hippie Man where you were like, oh no?
I would do it as a feature, you're doing 25 or 30 minutes. I'd do it like 5 minutes in.
Whoa!
And then,
And then 25 minutes of questionable.
Yeah, and it was weird, man. And what I should have done was have like an extra big pair of pants on stage, just bring it out there with me.
Yeah.
And turn back in.
Was there ever a moment where one of the clubs was like, hey, maybe not?
No, nobody ever said that. But my worst set ever was when I was doing Hippie Man. And it was at Looney's in Colorado Springs.
yeah.
And this was before I got divorced. I got divorced in 1996.
Turn the page.
Yeah. Dude, it was crazy, man. My mom was in the audience, my brother and sister-in-law, her mom, my sister-in-law's mom, and my X Lynn were all in the audience. And it was two of us. They didn't have an opener. I was working with a guy named Kelly Bob, who's still around and lives in Texas. He's a cowboy act, and they billed us as the roper and the doper, right? So they didn't have an opener. And Kelly Bob and I were in Albuquerque the weekend before. So we drive to Colorado Springs, but we stopped at this thrift store, and I bought a Century 21 jacket. I don't know why, this gold jacket. And so the guy goes, hey, you guys, I don't have an opener tonight. And I go, that's okay. I'll tie my hair back and go up in this Century 21 jacket. And I told the audience, I fucking won them over. I said, this is only my first time and shit, you know? And they believed all this shit.
So you were opening?
Yeah. And then I brought up Kelly Bob, and he's just going to shotgun me up, right? So then he goes, you know, you might have seen this guy before, whatever. And I come out just with regular hair, and it pissed them off, man.
What?
Because they were like all on my side when they thought I was new and an opener, you know, but I lied to them. And I just never fucking got that crowd, man. And so, so I'm supposed to do, you know, 35 to 40 minutes. And they still have that gigantic clock up there. And I'm just struggling the whole time, man. And I'm doing those, I got a weird eye, and I'm doing these jokes, and they're not laughing. But what pissed me off was, I was like, say I had to do 40 minutes. I was like 33 minutes in. This woman called me wall-eyed, heckled me from the crowd, and I got mad. That's the worst thing you can do, is get mad. So and I swear, I said, this is almost exactly what I said. I go, you know what?
Angry Johnny.
Yeah, man. Johnny got angry. I go,
Johnny come angry. Yeah.
I go, you guys don't like me. I go, I fucking hate you.
Doesn't sound very hippie, John.
No. And I mean, you could hear a pin drop.
Billy's
man.
still here?
Yeah.
Right.
Just
You could
taunting
hear a
John.
pin drop. And you know, I mean, I got to do the time because they're picking up the checks and shit. So I didn't have anything left after like a couple minutes of just silence. So I go into the closer. And I mean, this crowd hated me.
Hey, dude, you're still going to...
So I tear away the clothes. I'm wearing tie-dye. They're not laughing. My whole family is in the audience. Everybody but my sister. And so I finish, and I get off stage, and then I go upstairs.
What was the finishing line of the hippie man?
Well, I would go, I'd lay down on the stool and pretend like I was flying.
Yeah.
And so then I'd get off the stool and I go, oh, hippie man hurt himself when he was flying there. And I go, don't be looking down here. And I gesture towards my groin, you know? Yeah. And I had like a bandana on, and I took that and I put it over, you know, so they couldn't see. And then I used to do.
See his big old hippie hog.
Yeah. And I did some sort of pledge where I'd make him make a peace sign and say, I forgot what I was going to say.
There's some rumors out there.
He's the mayor?
No, Billy Joel told me that there's a rumor that you used to stuff the...
Yeah, I put a big old sausage in there. My mom was like, I don't remember your penis being that big, son. No, but it was so funny because my family didn't know, you know, to meet me outside or whatever. They're waiting for me in the fucking showroom. Oh, no. So I put my pants back on so I wasn't in tights, and I had to walk back through this crowd that hated me. And then I saw my mom, and I just go, you got to give me points for being honest. Yeah. But that was the worst.
You've always been honest, John.
Honest Johnny.
Yeah. I still laugh about that with my brother and sister-in-law. And that was the only time her mom ever saw, my sister-in-law's mother ever saw me. It was when I told the crowd I fucking hate him.
Dude, how crazy is it that an audience turned on you just because you played a newbie character because there was no host?
Right.
And then when you came back up, they were like, fuck this guy.
They were mad. They were really mad. And it was funny because we're driving back on I-25, and there was an exit that said Gardner, Westcliff. I guess that was 2 cities. And I told Kelly Bob, that sounds like a stage name. So when I had him introduce me as Gardner Westcliff.
Oh, my God.
I should go up again as Gardner Westcliff sometime. I still have that Century 21 jacket too.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what you should do for stick or treat.
Yeah, that would be good.
That's so funny.
Real deep cuts. Well, and then when did you decide? Because you did Hippie Man on Craig Ferguson, right?
Yeah, I did Craig Ferguson twice. The first time I was John Novosad, and then they asked me, "Do you want to be introduced as Hippie Man?" And I was like, "Yeah." So the second time I did it, I was Hippie Man. But you know what made?
Is that when it started?
No, that was like I'd been Hippie Man for a long time.
Yeah. But were you Hippie Man the first time you went on Ferguson? They just were like, we're gonna say your name.
No, I asked them to introduce me as John Novosad, but because I even do Hippie Man's Plan for America on that first one. I talk about it and I go, I'm also known as Hippie Man or something. I said it that way. But yeah, they would have introduced me as Hippie Man if I asked for it.
Did you? So the second time, you did the tights and everything?
No, I want to do that though. I want to do the tights and everything on a late night set. That would be fucking amazing. Because those sets are like 4 minutes and 45 seconds, you know?
Well, and I like the idea of whatever the breakdown is, if your hair was tied back, and as you break everything off, you also unbun it and shake it out.
Yeah, that would be good. I didn't do that part of it. That's a great idea though. And then I also said to my friend, I go, I'm trying to think of, how could you, if you were doing a theater show, I go, I want to have a harness. And after I turn into Hippie Man, fly out over the crowd. And I was like, how would you top that? And he goes, they roll out a drum kit while you're flying and you land behind the drum kit and do a drum solo. I was like, damn, dude, that's brilliant. You know?
Do you play the drums?
No. But I would fake it.
Well, man, I heard Craig Ferguson might be coming back. You probably should.
Yeah.
Probably should start learning the drums.
I should, man.
So nice. Well, I think I.
You think you have an idea?
I think I have an idea. I think we've been
Burned
chatting
up?
for quite a while.
Yeah, John, I'm gonna let you shake these up while we get ready to do this. And,
Okay, what do I do? Shuffle
Just
them?
shuffle them up however you want.
Okay, I'm going to set this down for a minute.
Yeah.
Hello, this is John's dick now.
It sounds good.
Hey, this is John's dick. that's more like it.
Oh.
Okay, I'm going to cut these now and then.
Yeah. Then you.
John is cutting the cards.
He's cutting the cards.
And then where do I take one from?
Whichever one you want. So at this point, you can pull whatever card and just, wherever you want. Just have it facing this direction because whether it's facing
this
up
is
or
apparently
down.
a thing we're doing now. AJ is a tarot card man now, powered by Rat Tail.
Man, this rat tail's about done. So this is the one you want? Mm-hmm. Okay, we'll set it right there. Sweet.
It is. It's getting thin.
It is, buddy. It's about out. For sure. All right, John. Flip it however you want it.
All right. I'm going to
Do we want to do the what we think first?
What kind of card we think it is?
Oh, no. What we're going to vote. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious.
Oh, I don't.
All right. I guess that's the signal.
That's a signal. Boom. So Garden of the Gate. It was upside down, though.
Oh, yeah.
So let's just see real quick what we got.
Oh,
in
man.
reverse.
The garden in the gate.
Upside down.
So in this card reversed, it indicates the happy choice to open the door to a more spiritual pursuit. You may have been obsessed with worldly issues before, but your readiness to go deeper is now here. Many people believe that they cannot have or live in the material world with make lots of money and engage in a spiritual priorities at the same time. But now you realize that isn't true. In fact, you can bring this wonderful spiritual focus into any endeavor. And when you do, you'll find that beyond the garden, the universe is willing to fill your life with beauty and joy. Expect the unexpected, for joyous synchronicities are abound.
Wow.
Wow, that's just like general enough to almost make sense.
I got to remember that. The garden and the gate reversed. It's also my favorite sexual position.
Suck it, Billy Joel.
You want to be the gate this time, honey?
Yeah.
I want to be the garden.
That's my penis talking.
Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was really fun. Thanks, you guys, for having me on.
Wednesday,
May 24th.
May 24th, South Club,
Comedy Works South.
Comedy Works South. Be sure and check out John Novosad. You can get tickets at comedyworks.com.
And check out a special on YouTube.
Check out his special on YouTube. And if you guys are watching, we have a few more weeks left of the contest. We will be announcing our Dead & Co. winners on June 1st.
Are your glasses fogged up?
Oh, I'm sweating. I think I'm starting to sweat, buddy.
It looks like you have real weird eyebrows.
Yeah.
It looks crazy.
Are you going to all 3 Dead and Company shows?
I'm taking Zach to his first one. And then I had tickets to the last one. I gave them away so someone could watch our dogs. We're going to the Gorge to see him.
That's cool.
Are you going to all 3 at the Gorge?
No, there's 2 nights at the Gorge. We're camping 3 nights. We have tickets for 1. We may go Saturday, but the other idea is like maybe to just spend the day in the lot hanging out because we're camping all 3 nights and just kind of enjoy the festivities.
And where is the Gorge?
In Washington State.
That's cool.
And we're going to put up a little survey on this week's Spotify. When do you think AJ's dreadlocks going to fall out? 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
let's
looking
see.
kind of close.
It's getting close.
And if you bribe me, I'll give it a tug so you win.
Will it really fall out?
It's getting really thin. So typically they will. And it's also
balding.
It keeps getting to the point. It's so long that it gets caught up when I sleep, and I'm pulling on it so much that it's either going to fall out or get cut off soon.
I was going to say I have the same problem with my penis, but I don't think it's going to fall off. So, excuse me.
That was the wrong button.
But yeah, so is John Novosad a hippie?
Is John Hippie Man Novosad? 1, 2, 3. Hippie. Yeah, inevitably hippie. I think he's very hippie, actually.
Oh, thanks.
Outside of wanting to fight Billy Joel.
Yeah, I mean, I could see. I don't think you're as hippie as I thought you would be, though.
Yeah, I get that.
But you know,
But the
it's
more
like you don't collect rocks, but you still believe they have powers.
Yeah.
You know, you're not into the zodiac, but you know, the Garden of the Gate speaks to you.
Yeah.
You know, so no,
I think that it's interesting. The more we do this, the more I realize that it is kind of there's a variant, and everyone is kind of, you know, one way or the other, but it's kind of figuring out how far you lean. And even if you lean far into the world of being a hippie, we can find things where it's like, oh, well, we thought you would have definitely have been more this way.
Well, and I learned a few things about John that I didn't know. So it was fun talking. It's always a good time hanging out, John.
Fun.
And no, I'm happy you could come on the show. And yeah, May 24th, get down to the fucking Comedy Works.
South Club.
Yeah.
And
Thanks, you
check that
guys.
show out. And yeah, check out his special online after this. If you're like, man, I need to kill more time at work or whatever, just put on John's fucking special. It's hilarious.
Check that out.
AJ and I went to the recording. It was very fucking good.
It was amazing.
Go check it out.
Yep.
So
And he's got a dry bar coming out soon.
Yeah.
really just buy the special of John's is what you should do. Because then he'll get
support
all the money.
John any way you can. That's all we're saying.
So, yeah. As always, you can find us on all social medias at Hippie Not Hippie Pod. Subscribe, follow for chances to win on the giveaway. And
if you're in the Colorado area, check us out Memorial Day weekend, doing 4 live shows at the Vail Comedy Festival.
yeah, and thanks for listening, everybody. Make sure and
Get on the phone.